This is the Renault Alliance, the first of a new generation of Renault automobiles built in North America to European standards of technology and design at an affordable price. In Europe, this car was introduced in 1981 as the Renault 9. Not only was it an instant success with the public, but it was voted Car of the Year by 52 European auto writers. Believe me, this is one of the most prestigious awards in the industry because it's given to the car determined to be the most significant, influential, and outstanding all-new car. You'll find more about the award in your guidebook and handbook. To create the Alliance, Renault began over 5 years ago with a blank piece of paper. Their objective was to create a state-of-the-art automobile, uniquely designed for the mid-'80s. They were determined to make it superior to all other mass-produced cars built anywhere in the world. And that's exactly what it is. They began with a base of technology and features, much of which was pioneered and developed by Renault. And then they added some unique new features and sophisticated electronics. That's a pretty impressive list of features, right? Well, like the man said, you ain't seen nothing yet. That list doesn't begin to get to the heart of what the Alliance is all about. This car is so much more advanced than anything you've sold before that it's like having a digital quartz watch in a wind-up world. Yeah, it's really that different. And if you have any doubts, just stick around, because we're going to show you what state-of-the-art really means. We're going to show you why the Alliance is the most technically advanced automobile in its class. All right? Enough of the pep talk. Let's get to work. We'll start with an overall look at the general lineup for this introductory year. In the past, when we've talked about a car line, we've usually done it in terms of body styles and models. For example, you could look at the Alliance as offering both a two-door and a four-door sedan. And you could go on to point out that in the two-door you have three choices: a well-equipped DL, the L model, and a base version Alliance price leader. On the four-door side you have a top-of-the-line Limited, followed by a DL and the L model. Okay, that's one way to look at your car lineup. But we suggest that when it comes to this new Alliance, you've got to take a different perspective. A perspective based on the realities of your market. Let me give you some background which will help explain what I mean by a different perspective. Based on its trim dimensions, its exceptional fuel economy, and affordable pricing, the Alliance competes in the small car segment of the market. To that you say, that's not news. Virtually all cars today are small. True. But since the whole market is scaled down, there are classes within the size range. The Alliance falls into the largest of the small car class. And this class represents almost 30% of the industry volume. In terms of its makeup, half of the market is made up of domestic sales and the other half of imports. And it's the import segment that's going to be the main Alliance target. Now, who are we competing against? On the import side, there's Toyota Corolla, VW Rabbit, Honda Civic, Nissan Sentra, and Mazda GLC. On the domestic side, we're against Ford Escort, Mercury Lynx, the Dodge Omni, Plymouth Horizon, the Chevy Chevette, and Pontiac T1000. So much for the competition. Now, who are the buyers, and what are they like? Well, we know that a major segment of them fall into the 25 to 45-year-old range. They're better educated, most of them went to college, and they have $20,000 plus income. Naturally, not every Alliance prospect will fall into this category, but a lot of them will. A lot of them are that post-World War II crop of babies that have grown up and are moving into the prime category of car buyers. One of the main characteristics of this group of prospects is that they're unconventional. They don't buy Buicks because their fathers did, and they don't buy Bullivas or Magnavoxes either. These young people don't remember Pearl Harbor, and they don't remember when Made in Japan stood for cheapness. These prospects are buying Seikos and Sonys, and almost 50% of them buy imported cars, with the majority being Japanese. What this suggests, of course, is that you have two classes within this prospect group: those whose tendency is to buy import, and those whose tendency is to buy a domestic car. And that brings me back to the different perspective. Instead of looking at Renault Alliance as two body styles with different levels of equipment and features, our entire marketing thrust is designed to present Alliance as a car that satisfies the two different classes of buyers: domestic and import. Now, in order to understand how the Alliance satisfies both of these groups, you need to know a little more about the purchase motivations of each. In your guidebook, we've included a list of purchase motivations for each group. Before we go on, let's take a moment to look at those lists. To summarize what you read in your guidebook, the import buyer is motivated by things like economy, durability, quality, and riding comfort. The domestic buyer, like the import buyer, wants good mileage and durability, but the price or deal offered ranks much higher on their list. Now, based on what we know about these two groups, let's rearrange our lineup picture. For the import buyer, you've got the DL and the two-door, plus the Limited and DL in the four-door sedan. These cars come equipped with those features which reflect what the import buyer expects to find in an import car. The price is a little higher than the L model and base Alliance, but then price is not as major a consideration with this group. They want value, and they want those things they've always associated with import cars. Now, for the domestic buyer, we have the L models, 2- and 4-door, and the 2-door base Alliance price leader. These cars satisfy the domestic buyer's demand for mileage and durability, and they provide it at a very attractive price. Now you see why we have to have a different perspective on the Alliance. You've really got two cars, each aimed at two different prospect groups. While I don't in any way want to diminish the importance of the domestic group to our market, our national studies show that the majority of Alliance prospects are going to fall into the import group, or at least they're going to think and behave like the import buyer. All right? Up to now, we've been doing a lot of talking about the Alliance prospect. Let's give them a chance to speak for themselves. We sent our cameras out to interview potential buyers in this segment of the market. We asked them why they bought their present car and what they wanted most in their next one. By the way, see if you can pick out the import prospects from the domestic ones.
Well, I look for economy in my car. I like high mileage, and I'm preferable to mid-30s MPG.
Okay, I think economy is important, but also I'm more apt to look at a car that has low maintenance.
I'm looking for a car that gives me good mileage, because in spite of the fact that gasoline prices are coming down now, I think that in the long run, I think they're going to fluctuate upward, and I have to have a car that's going to give me good mileage.
I look for durability in a car. I mean, it better last at least as long as my payments do, right?
I need a car that's going to last. I rely on my automobile. I need quality in my car.
I think it's very important to have a car that's going to last you more than 2 years.
Comfort's almost as important as high mileage to me. I'm tall. I want to have leg room.
Yeah. I like a car that's comfortable and has room in the back seat, big enough for the family.
The problem with so many cars that have economy is the inside is so small that there's no place to put anything once the people get in. And if you get the stuff in, you don't have any place for the people.
Well, ideally, what I'm looking for is a small car that rides like a big car.
Front-wheel drive is real important because I think that really affects the performance of a car. I'm on the highway or even on a small road on a rainy night. I know my car is going to work, it's going to handle the curves, and it's a safety factor for me.
I like to think that the car I buy is very safe to drive, very durable.
Safety is a factor when I buy a car.
Well, basically, I'm looking for my money's worth when I buy a car.
I'm looking for the bottom line, best money deal I can find. What am I going to spend? What do I have to write the check out for?
I'm sure little, if any, of what they said came as a surprise. Things like economy, quality, reliability, comfort, handling, and safety are pretty standard demands in today's market. And certainly every car maker is telling consumers that their cars are the answer to those demands. Your job is to demonstrate to prospects that Alliance answers these demands better, more completely, and more convincingly than any of the competition. Be they a domestic or import buyer, you've got to prove that Alliance satisfies their individual needs. And believe me, with what you've got in this car, that's going to be no problem at all. We're going to take an in-depth look at the Alliance in terms of its economy, its quality and durability, comfort, ride and handling, and its safety features. The focus is going to be on the DL model, which is really the car we expect to be the spearhead against the import market. And while our emphasis from this point on is going to be directed at selling the import buyer, you'll have no trouble sorting out those features which you'll want to use in talking with the domestic buyers. By the way, you'll find that we've provided plenty of space for notes in your guidebooks. You'll find that these notes will come in handy later as you begin to develop your Alliance sales presentation.
One of the first things I look at in a car is high mileage. It's really critical when I'm thinking about buying a car.
I need good mileage. I need something above 35. That's possible today.
As you saw on the purchase motivation list, economy was on the top of both lists. Well, Alliance was built to offer your customers the best fuel economy of any car built in the United States. Here are the miles per gallon figures subject to official confirmation from EPA. 4-speed overdrive, 36 city and 47 highway. 5-speed overdrive, 35 city and 49 highway. And the 3-speed automatic shows 30 city and 37 highway. I think you'll agree that those estimated mileage figures are really going to impress your prospects. They sure impress me, especially when compared to our competitors. Now, while the EPA numbers are a key part of the selling strategy, telling your prospects why Alliance outdoes its competitors may well prove to be equally important. First, there's the matter of weight. Renault used advanced computer design to increase body strength while reducing the overall weight. Obviously, less weight equals better mileage. Second, while Alliance Classic Sedan styling elevates it above the ordinary hatchback competition, this upscale appearance was not achieved at the expense of aerodynamics. Your Alliance has a drag coefficient of 0.405. To appreciate just how good that is for a four-door sedan, we're only an incredible 0.045, or 11% more than the new Chevy Camaro Sports Coupe at 0.360. Okay? So less drag equals better mileage, and incidentally, less wind noise, too. While weight and air drag are certainly important factors in mileage, the heart of the story lies in the engine and drivetrain. Alliance is powered by a thrifty but peppy 1.4-liter fuel-injected engine. This four-cylinder engine is transversely mounted, providing extra traction over the front wheels. The engine uses an electronic ignition system and a Bendix single-point fuel injection system for 49 states and Canada. In California, Alliance has a Bosch multi-point fuel injection system. Both systems replace the old carburetor and deliver better performance and economy. For those prospects who want to get technical about the engine, tell them that the Alliance has 2 microprocessor chips, which adjust the fuel injector pulse rate and duration of fuel injection along with spark advance. The benefit of this capability is that it permits the engine to adapt to changes in speed and load factors. In addition, the microprocessors monitor things like air pressure, temperature, and humidity. This helps deliver more consistent drivability and improves cold weather starting. Bottom line, and the point to be made with the prospect, is that this type of fuel feed system is the most efficient on the market today. Moving from the engine to drivetrain, you'll find base and L models with a 4-speed overdrive transaxle as standard equipment. In the DL Unlimited models, you have a manual 5-speed overdrive transmission as standard. While the fuel economy rating will be excellent, the emphasis on the 5-speed has been placed on fun to drive as well. Finally, you'll find that improved performance has also been built into the optional, electronically controlled 3-speed automatic transaxle. This transaxle features a unique microprocessor control, which acts almost like a mind reader. What it does is monitor vehicle speed, engine vacuum, and, believe it or not, the driver's intentions. In other words, if the driver shifts or hits the accelerator pedal, the microprocessor immediately selects the appropriate gear for maximum performance and economy. If by this time you sense that the Alliance incorporates a great deal of electronic technology, you're right. In very simple terms, we've taken advantage of the broad range of microprocessors and solid-state electronics to increase fuel economy, operating efficiency, and overall dependability. Let me summarize all this for you. First, you've got two microprocessor chips controlling and monitoring engine operating conditions. Second, a chip has been programmed to maximize the efficiency of the optional automatic transmission. Third, to improve ignition operation, an electronic ignition system is used. Fourth, the Alliance offers an optional electronic feature called Systems Sentry, a kind of electronic service attendant, which monitors all the vital fluid levels. When the ignition is turned off, the lights on the console advise the driver of any fluids that may need attention. It reports on the oil level, engine coolant, brake fluid, power steering fluid, washer fluid, and transaxle oil. It also monitors front disc brake pad wear. The benefit, of course, is obvious. With the optional Systems Sentry on the job, the driver can attend to routine maintenance before it becomes a costly repair item. Needless to say, the Alliance economy story covers a lot of ground. So let's stop here for a brief review of the key facts.
Quality is important, which is one of the reasons why I've always bought a imported car.
I think the idea of built-in obsolescence is gone. It's a thing of the past. You can't throw a car away every 3 or 4 years anymore.
All right. How do you deal with the demand for quality and durability? No question but that is a major concern. It was number 2 on both lists. First, you might begin by telling him that Alliance is being built in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now, while that news is not likely to motivate him to reach for his checkbook, what you tell him about Kenosha is bound to impress him. Let's take a quick trip to the factory. From the outside, the plant in Kenosha looks pretty much like any car factory. But inside, there's a new industrial revolution going on. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been invested in new space-age technology to build the new Alliance to meet quality standards that are literally second to none in the world. Now, the Alliance quality story really began with that blank piece of paper I told you about. The designers wanted to create a body that in terms of structural integrity, function, and utility would be truly state-of-the-art. To accomplish this goal, Renault adapted some very advanced technology from the aerospace industry and used the computer to assist in the design of the critical components. Without getting technical, let me just say that with the computer, they were able to evaluate, test, and improve the various elements of the design without having to create prototypes. Not only did this method save time and money, but it allowed the engineers to design the most efficient components possible. In addition, the computer made it possible for the engineers to study the effects of stress, deformation, and the vibration characteristics of each structure. Again, the purpose was to determine how best to increase the strength of the body while reducing overall weight and maximizing the interior passenger space. Now, it's one thing to develop an optimum body design. It's quite another to manufacture it. For example, one of the problems in manufacturing is to translate the exterior surface design into the tool that will manufacture it. This is where most automotive components end up as a compromise between what was called for in the specs and what actually comes out of the stamping plant. To ensure that the Alliance in your showroom is worthy of its design, hundreds of millions of dollars have gone into the development of special sophisticated manufacturing technology. One of these is the unisurf process. Basically, this is a computer method of translating the exterior surface design into the tool which will manufacture it. This makes it possible to eliminate the intermediate die model step and create accurate tooling that matches the design into within 1/10 of a millimeter. In addition, the assembly fixture that produces the component also serves as a checking fixture. This means that every assembly on every Alliance body is checked every time. The result is that body geometry is more exact and body quality is more consistent, since the first Alliance body is the same as the 100,000th Alliance body. This assembly check manufacturing process is unique in the United States. No other manufacturer builds bodies this efficiently with this level of accuracy. The bottom line, the point you want to make with your customers, is that there is no car anywhere that delivers better component quality than Alliance. Before we leave the assembly process, let me make a couple of other key points. You've all heard about the use of robots in Japanese factories and how the accuracy of these computer-driven behemoths is in part responsible for the vaunted quality of Japanese cars. Well, they've got nothing on us. In Kenosha, the fixed welding operation utilizes robot welders which are much more sophisticated than their Japanese counterparts. Another point to make with your customers is that no mass-produced car in the world goes through more corrosion protection treatment than the Renault Alliance. First, all exterior body panels are made of galvanized steel for maximum protection. Once the body has been assembled, it's given a zinc phosphate metal pretreatment, which forms a coating that helps resist both corrosion and abrasion while improving paint adherence. Next, the bodies are immersed in a cathodic electrocoat dip. Each body is given an electric charge while the dip is given an opposite charge. As the body passes through the bath, it is electrically coated more evenly and more completely with a protective primer. From here, the body moves on for the application of the acrylic enamel to all metal body surfaces. After the enamel finish is baked on, a clear coat enamel is sprayed on all metallic colors, giving it that deep, higher luster found on some imports and on the most expensive domestics, like Corvette, Lincoln, and Imperial. Before the Alliance body is finished, a wax is sprayed into the inner doors. A durable vinyl coat is also applied to the rocker panels and underbody, virtually sealing it off from salt and road dirt. To sum up our quality and durability story, let me give you a statement that you can and should be using in your presentations to prospects. No car made in America, Japan, or Europe has been designed with more attention to quality and durability than your new Alliance. From its computer design to its aerospace manufacturing techniques to the most advanced corrosion protection systems in the world, Alliance is built to last.